welcome to this week's AMA. Super excited to be here with you all as always. And before I bring Luke up, we've got to do the rules here. Please be farmer friendly. Add all of your questions you have in the YouTube live chat, and we will bring them up accordingly. And yeah, get them in early. We're always paying attention to it, pulling good ones aside. So get them in now, and I will bring Luke up.
Hey, how are you doing, Heidi?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been running a ton. I just really injured my
right?
yeah, no, I'm doing an ultra in like 2 weeks, so we'll see how that goes. But
Wow.
yeah, body's a bit beat from that. I think I really injured my Achilles in the last 2 weeks, so I might just go into it cold. But yeah, no, super excited to have all of you guys here this week with this AMA. It's gonna be like a run-of-the-mill AMA again. We released like some alpha in Discord, basically saying something like, we've probably released about 20% of what we've been building and working on to all of you guys in the last like 2 months. There's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we've been kind of building out in terms of infrastructure, in terms of tooling, in terms of partnerships, and in terms of like the next steps of Pixels that we've been working on. So it's really been awesome to still release content out to you guys in the last 2 to 3 months. But also, I just want to kind of prep you guys. We've been working on a lot more as well too, and you're going to start to see some of those things release in the next probably 2 weeks to a month. So there's a lot on our plate that we're super excited to finally announce, and a lot of stuff that we're ready to kind of get out now. So thank you guys so much for being here with us still. We really like that you guys are still enjoying the game as is. But where our mind is at with Pixels right now is we're not looking for those 2 to 3% improvements in our gameplay. We still think there's plenty of room for us to grow and improve gameplay, where we can really still introduce 2 to 3x improvements as we're thinking about the next set of features. So, when some of you guys are asking for content updates and things like new crops, new things like that, we think that's great. We think that will increase retention. We do think that'll increase playability, but we also think, hey, these new things that we're working on actually might improve the gameplay in orders of magnitude that are higher than what you guys might be expecting right now. This team is really experimental. This team loves to build new stuff and just kind of try things out. So we've been putting a lot of investments into different areas like that over the last little bit of 2 to 3 month span, and we're going to see what actually unlocks for us over the next 2 to 3 months after that. So again, thank you guys for being here with us. Thank you guys for showing up and being here every AMA. It's super encouraging to the team to know that you guys are actively playing the game, to know that you guys like what we're doing. And I think we're all going to reap the rewards pretty soon with this work that we're putting on. So I guess I want to kind of go into one area. We're going to start to open up and share what we've been working on a bit now. One of the areas that we've been putting a lot of investment into and thinking about is Web3 social. So I'm super excited to kind of move into those stages. We have a few integrations that I'll be shipping out or actually in development in this sprint that we're working on now. So we are partnering with, I don't want to drop any names yet, but I think one of them that we introduced about 2 weeks ago on AMA, Seam.so. They're going to be doing a new take on our profile system. And we have a few other integrations as well too. So, and we want to start to experiment with more social layers that we can build on top of Pixels that maybe don't even require product updates as well. So expect something to be announced within probably a week or so around what we're doing with that. I think I've been hinting it in the Discord a bit on some different ideas that we had for an increased social engagement layer. But kind of what we're aiming for is, one, we think that Web3 social is a super interesting field in Web3 in general. We think that adds another layer of stickiness or intention in our game if we can, implement that further. Our game is a social game as it is. All of you guys know each other, even though our game is kind of single player-ish right now. You guys work together a lot. You guys have actually formed friendships from what I've seen, and friendships and enemies, it looks like, in our Discord. And we love seeing that. There's a fine line between love and hate, right? So
it's really beautiful though. It's such an international community. I've made connections with people in places that I how would I have ever done this in the past? It's remarkable. It's amazing, and I love it.
Yeah, right. And the fact that we're able to facilitate both of these sides of the coins, that's great. So yeah, we have been thinking about how do we actually make that stronger. What are ways that we can do that while we can actually integrate Web3 ecosystem partners who are already doing that. So what's awesome about Web3 and what we love about interoperability is we don't have to build everything in the space. And Web3 plugs in together. Um, Web3 plugs in together more like Legos than traditional Web2 infrastructure products and other platforms do. There's a level of cooperation here that you don't actually see in Web2, which is awesome. So we're taking full advantage of that. And anytime that we see a product or a platform or a tool in the space that offers something to our users that we actually don't have the time or capacity to build, we're always looking for partnerships like that. So again, if you guys have any leads on that, or if you have any like Web3 projects where you're like, wow, that's awesome, like they're doing really interesting stuff, please let us know. And facilitate that introduction. We have a pretty active user base, obviously, now that is driving a lot of these partnerships as well. So again, thanks to you guys for being here, because of that, we basically have some leverage whenever we want to talk to partners and want to integrate them. So there's tons of win-win scenarios all around. We're looking heavily into Web3 social, and we're going to start to introduce some new features that kind of show what we're doing there in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And beyond that too, we've still been making really solid progress into the launch of Berry and Pixel. So short-term priorities in terms of like where we're at with the company is we're basically all hands on deck on Berry and making sure that that's going live, running, and getting well. We are obviously working on Pixel and all the facilitation around that. Like a few of us are, really putting some serious effort into making sure that the Pixel launch goes well. But we kind of have to move step by step, right? We can't launch Pixel until we actually have successfully launched Berry. So we basically have all hands on deck to make sure that the tech behind that's right, to make sure that the launch of it on Dex or other areas like that goes well too, and to make sure that all of the logistics around that are just basically as tight as possible. We feel pretty supported around that, and yeah, that's coming soon. So I really appreciate all of your patience with that. If you might have noticed, the game was super laggy yesterday because we were running some tests at scale and production yesterday. One of them went like a little bit haywire. And I think we ended up making something like 44 million calls to Alchemy yesterday. So sorry to the Alchemy team for that one. And that's why you guys might have seen the game lag a little bit. But I do want to also give them props because we sent 44 million requests to Alchemy in one day, didn't really break any of their tech, just slow down our game a bit. So fun mistake to learn there. But those are the kind of things that we're working on now. Essentially, we're basically smoothing out the tech, making sure it's ready to handle everything at scale. And it is interesting because with over 100,000 monthly active wallets right now, we are kind of pushing Web3 scale in a way that not many other companies get to play with right now. So we do really have to make sure that everything is there and ready. So it's fun stuff. Also adds more technical challenges. The team is basically getting there. Essentially what we want 2 weeks of our blockchain integration in production, running seamlessly and kind of in the background without any major bug before we go live with it. Obviously, there's a lot at stake to make sure that security, availability, and predictability and reliability are all there before we release it. And we just want to launch Berry without any hiccups. So we're being very, very thorough. And part of what we can do with all of you guys being here and playing is we can test at scale silently. And we've been doing that. So yeah, we really appreciate all the patience with that launch, and we'll keep you guys updated in the loop, but it's getting there. And we're super excited to see what happens when, we start to open up withdrawal and deposit. And we're really excited to, analyze what that does, if that brings in any new users, what kind of user that brings in. We're thinking a lot about that as well too. So, what's great about Berry and our ecosystem right now is for being in Web3, most of you are really just using Berry in the exact way that we intended to progress through the game, to get further in the game and all that too. And that's the ideal situation. That is, basically what every Web3 project wants. And, it's not an easy thing to get. So I know when we open up Berry withdraw and deposit, that might bring in a different type of user. We're very aware of that. But, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. So we are actively looking at that. We're actively, we're excited to see what happens essentially, and we're getting there. So yeah, what are some other things we're working on? Yeah, I think we talked a little bit again about, Web3 sentiment later. So one of the things we want to start doing is, I'm taking a lot of inspiration again from RuneScape. I've been looking at every Web3 or every MMO again and taking like a really close look. I think one thing that RuneScape and some of these other MMOs do well that we can learn from is obviously we're here doing AMAs with all of you. We are taking feedback in the Discord a ton, but I think we want to start to introduce like a bit more formal of a process, formal and informal in the way of getting your feedback and getting your input like directly accessible into the game. So me and Heidi are going to be working on this week, essentially, and probably taking a lot of feedback from you. We'll be in the Discord a lot, but we want to start to do interesting things. Like we might use something like snapshot.org, or we might implement our own like in-house version of that that's not necessarily on chain but still does things like token gating to get more formal feedback from you guys in things like voting and things like other potential game mechanics as well. So expect something, at least expect a dialogue in our Discord around ideas around that too. So yeah, the whole idea is we kind of want to give you guys a larger sense of ownership in the direction of Pixels. We don't like the idea of governance necessarily. I think that introduces a ton of complexity in terms of regulation, in terms of expectation, in terms of actually facilitating all the governance as well. But we do think we could do something almost like pseudo governance, where we still get your feedback. We give perks to participating in the ecosystem. So yeah, we're looking for a lot of solutions like that essentially, and we love the idea of doing something or adding a sentiment layer that isn't necessarily like tied completely into the game, but there's essentially like ways that we can form community and strategy that it's just like a little cherry on top essentially. And we think it could actually add something that's kind of fun too, like almost like a new game mechanic that's not in the game. So expect that. It'll probably be tied to Barry
and this too? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off. I just think it's really important whenever we talk about stuff like this, especially like you and I internally, it brings me back to like we're building in public. We've been building in public since day one. And so we've tried lots of different things. Some have been good, some have been bad, some are, and this is just another step in that. Like, how can we incorporate the community's feedback even more? So like as it stands, in Discord, I'm constantly telling people, fill out the feedback form, fill out the feature request form. And I guarantee you guys, I have to tell you all the time, we monitor that. We read it. We review them in meetings. We talk about these ideas. They're so important to us. We also have a lot of phone calls, Discord chats with different groups like the farmhands, the community team. Like we are listening. But the one thing that I get a lot is people not believing that we're listening, because there's not really like a good feedback loop with those forms, right? I don't know how else to tell you that we are listening and we're reading these things. So this is just like another step of like, okay, this is working, but it doesn't look like it's working maybe to other people. So how can we improve on it and how can we iterate? And so this is just another iteration in that whole big process of building in public with all of you. So
yeah, and we like the idea of like potentially tying it to the tokens as well. Like we're looking for even interesting touches that we can add to people who own Berry and have been playing the game a lot, and people who own farmland, things like that too. So it's potential value accrual to these areas in an interesting way. So what I don't like about Snapshot though is like it doesn't seem super easy to use. And it looks like in a lot of DAOs that are taking advantage of Snapshot, it's the voter, the actual amount of people that are voting compared to the holders is quite low. So we actually might be looking at ways to integrate that, easily in game. It might even be something as simple as like a type form where we just have you input an ETH address. Like there's a lot of really low effort ways that we can do this kind of stuff. And I think we can have some fun with it too. Like for example, what if we gave you guys an option of like setting a season in Pixels? This is like so off the top and nothing confirmed, but this is the kind of stuff that we're thinking about, where it's like potentially like, you guys can vote. Oh, it's like a dry season. No, it's a rainy season. In a dry season, we set the rules where it's like, okay, these crops grow better. In a wet season, these crops grow better. Like there's some really interesting gameplay that we can introduce through this kind of stuff that we're really open to. So if you guys have any ideas around that, let us know. This is definitely something that we want to invest a little bit of time and energy into. So yeah, any way that we can kind of facilitate, the feeling that you guys have a bit more say over what we're doing and get you guys actively involved. Like that's what we're looking for essentially. So yeah, again, at Pixels, expect like we're making some investments in Web3 social. We're obviously working on getting Barry ready, so all the tech behind that, tech at scale, and then yeah, some stuff like that. There's some
I
cool
like
stuff we can do with that.
that.
And then, yeah, we're obviously working on Pixel and all the facilitation after that. So, yeah, the Pixel stuff is super exciting. We're getting some of the burn mechanisms developed now. Like, for example, our development team is like working on the first burn mechanism that we want for Pixels, for Pixel, the Pixel token, which would be the item builder. So essentially what we want to do is we want to start to introduce 2 routes of burn. When we're thinking about the Pixel token, we want to do it through the pets mechanic. Then we also want to burn the Pixel token through tooling as well. We think that's potentially like the most sustainable way to do it. If we provide a tool and infrastructure that people want to be using, it's something that we'd actually probably be charging US dollars for straight up if we were in a B2B setting, or in, even just like a different type of business. If we were a Web2 business, that's actually potentially a very interesting pixel sync to us. So yeah, the first tool that we've been working on is that item builder, essentially going to be able to make your own in-game items with your own pixel art. They're at first just going to be decorations, so they're just going to be placed down. But there's some interesting use cases just off the bat for that. Like, for example, if you're a guild, maybe you want to make guild banners. If you want to theme your land in the way that we don't support right now, that would be a way to do it. If you want to make a giant billboard, I guess, for a company that you own, you could probably do that.
Like,
there's some interesting stuff.
Too. They can have like their own giant hot dog.
Yeah, if it's your land, I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want on it. But essentially what we're thinking about, how we're thinking about it, is it's almost gonna be like an NFT minter. Think about like Manifold XYZ, where essentially you can create new, in-game items. It'll basically cost like pixel per each item. So if you want to mint one of these new, user-generated items, it's going to be probably like 1 pixel or something like that. You want to mint 100 that you can sell or put on your land, 100 pixel. That's generally like the model that we're thinking that will work. We think just like very simple utility where it's like, I want this, I pay this amount of pixel. And yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking too. So that's in development. That'll probably get finished and wrapped up earlier than we think. And then some of these things that we might be doing as well is we might be running some experiments with you guys. Thank you guys so much for being guinea pigs, where I like the idea of us releasing some of these tools and using Barry at first with the acknowledgement that when Pixel releases, we're going to switch it to Pixel. So that would kind of give us an idea of how it's getting used, how it's getting priced. That'll help us model the burn of this token way better when we go live with the Pixel token. So expect some experimentation there. Expect to be like slight guinea pigs with that kind of stuff. And it'll make us all better if you guys are okay with that. I think you are. So appreciate that. And then what else do we have? Yeah, we have some really cool partnerships that are on the way as well that we can't speak on right now. There's an immense amount of work that we just put into one in particular that I gotta be lips tight on this one. But it's super cool. We're really excited about it. It's gonna be pretty unique. We're quite excited since it's not something that people in the space have really been experimenting with as much yet. And then, oh yeah, we also have News Cyber that's coming out quite soon as well. We have a release date internally now, like pretty confirmed when we're going to go live. I'm not going to spoil that date, but it's soon. So that's also a pretty exciting thing as well. It's basically going to show other people, hey, this is what the Pixels platform can do. Again, this is like all centered around the launch of Pixel as well. So we're thinking about, okay, we want to get News Cyber out. We want to get other Web3 games to be building on their platform because it's a really awesome show of what Pixel is going to be able to do in the long term and kind of how we're planning to frame, what this is. Getting News Cyber out, in my opinion, is a pretty big deal. There's not many Web3 games out there, right? The fact that we have 2 that are launching is, in my opinion, pretty notable. The space of Web3 gaming is still quite sparse. So props to the new cyber team. They've done a great job of helping us get it live. And again, I think it's a pretty big deal that this is launching. It's essentially like its own IP that's built on the Pixels platform. It's going to feel like Pixels. I feel like it's going to be pretty cool. It's cyberpunk themed. It's obviously going to be like long-term managed by that new cyber team too. So that's also the other thing that we're really excited about as well. One advantage of kind of opening up the platform side of things is that these projects that actually build on their platform, there is an incentive for them to start doing user acquisition for their own project, which makes sense, right? They have the project, they want to see it do well. If it's built on the Pixels platform, they put investment into it. They have something that can potentially generate revenue for them as well. And then they do user acquisition. That's new users coming into the Pixels ecosystem that we don't have to spend resources on acquiring them. And if that scales, that's super, super interesting to us. So that's kind of the thought behind that as well too. And couldn't be more excited to work with that new cyber team. Obviously, I can't give enough props to that team for their ability to market. They're some of the best in the space at that. So we'll see what they do. We're excited. And then, yeah, I guess that's high level what we're working on. There's a lot. We're all putting it together. Again, we probably have released about 20% of all the stuff we've been working on for the last 2 months to all of you guys publicly. And you're going to start to see that other 80% of all those investments that we put in for the last couple months come to fruition pretty soon. So yeah, lots of interoperability, partnerships on the way, and hard tech and infrastructure we've been building out that we can ship pretty soon as well.
Amazing. Okay. We haven't gotten a ton of questions, so throw your questions in the chat and we will bring them up accordingly. And I just leaked this in general chat like 10 minutes ago, so I thought I'd say it here too. People always make fun of me because I'm always playing Asprite. Is it Asprite or Asprite? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
It's you download it through Steam, so they think it's a game, but it's not. It's actually a pixel art building software. And so what I leaked is that I have been working on a new crop, and it is not potatoes. Another word I've never said out loud. Hot potatoes. It is not that. So there's lots in the works, lots of exciting stuff. So anyways, let's hop over to questions. Like I said, drop them in the YouTube chat and we'll bring them up. We got a good one here when we were talking about the UGC content builder and all of that. And that is, how will you police user-generated items with not safe for work or inappropriate content? This is actually a huge topic that we were literally talking about internally like 15 minutes before this AMA. There's lots of tools we'll use here. And of course, everyone that entered the game has officially signed off that they have read through the community guidelines, the rules, terms of service, whatever you want to call them. And then I think maybe we'll post like a little reminder on this builder as well. So it's kind of the same thing, if we find it, if our tools find it, if a user finds it and reports it, we will act accordingly. It has to be removed. It has to be edited. If they don't do so, we will take action. Same.
Yeah. So also we're probably going to make it so they have to be approved before they show in the game by basically us. It'll probably be me, like internal team. I want to say Heidi, but like it might be Heidi at first for a little bit. Essentially, like we'll have a flag on the items. They'll be approved off at first, and approved on. Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? We actually have this built into the farmland right now. It's funny, you release UGC the first, after 3 days of having our farmland editors live, there is not suitable for work content right in the right in the game immediately. The amount of time it takes to have genitalia in any UGC is quite low. So we're very aware of that. We actually have something built into the farmland already where I think it blurs the farmland if you have something like that on your farm. You guys have been very good lately. So one thing that helps is putting a cost behind creating content. When it didn't cost anything to edit your farmland in the pre-alpha, we saw a lot more of that. Now that you actually have to buy the tiles, it's a lot more of a calculated choice to draw genitalia on your farmland, and it costs you something. Just it's less likely to happen for that reason alone. Same thing with the pixel token. Most likely, having a barrier there probably cuts down on it a bit. And then in terms of like quality, that's been something our team has been talking about. Where it's like, what if we let people do pixel art and it looks bad? My take on this is, if it looks bad, you paid for it, and people won't go to your farm, or like people are going to judge you if it looks bad. That's on you. So if you want to make your farm look terrible, be my guest. But it also allows for other stuff too, where it's like, you guys, what really might happen is you guys actually might introduce pixel art that's better than what we've made, and you guys actually might go in the opposite direction and make things look even nicer. So that's what we're hoping for, at least.
Yeah. Pixel art is hard. I dabble in it. I'm like the world's greatest generalist is basically my job title. So like I dabble in it, right? Like I've been working on a crop, and I work on, like some Halloween worlds and stuff like that. So when we started talking about this UGC thing, my first comment was, pixel art is hard. So yeah, get practicing, I guess. That's the point of this speech here. Get practicing, guys. Okay. Is there an update today? No, next week.
Yeah, so we've moved to more predictable update cycles. It makes the team a lot less stressed, basically, if we only update every 2 weeks. And this is pretty standard in software development world. It doesn't actually even affect velocity. If anything, it probably keeps velocity a bit more predictable, because the team's not burning out as much. But yeah, we're in a sprint structure, basically. So expect an update basically every 2 weeks on Wednesdays. The one thing that we want to update a bit more is our blockchain infrastructure. That's something where it's really, really nice to test that at scale and learn from mistakes that we might make pretty rapidly. So there's probably going to be backend updates every now and then that update that side of things that you guys basically won't see. But content updates, we're sticking to pretty tight QA structure or QA schedules now.
All right. Let's look here. This is actually a really good question. So what about users copying other users' pixel items?
Yeah, that is an interesting one, right? Pixel art's not that hard to copy early on. I'll be completely honest, we probably won't have any safeguards for that really early on. That's something that we can look into, though. Like, we probably could hash pixel art and not allow for like duplicate hashes in the long run. If that's becoming an issue, then we can look into it. But number one, like, do you remember, we're going to do manual content moderation at first. It's our approach to building is stick to the simplest solution first and then iterate on it afterwards. That's one reason that we're able to ship so quickly and release so quickly, because we take a very iterative approach to building. If we were a AAA studio, this feature would take 3 months longer to release, because they would be accounting for every edge case like that. And to us, that's just not worth it. We'd rather get it out sooner and see if it gets the traction that we want and see how it's getting used, so that we can actually look at and see if there are any issues like that we're seeing. But early on, what we'll probably just do in this particular case is not approve it. If it's a duplicate pixel art, we'll probably have a general idea of what's coming in.
Yeah, and they just posted, sorry for the hard question. Do not apologize. It was an excellent question.
We want hard questions.
Yeah. This is something that we need to think about. So thank you so much for asking that. Okay, let's hop in here to some earlier questions that we got. Okay, we get this a lot. So why are you banning real people with the bots left untouched? So first of all, the bots are not left untouched. We are constantly on bot protection. We're constantly banning bots. The issue is that occasionally real people slip through the cracks. Real users slip through the cracks because the actions that we're looking at for like bots, occasionally a real user will mimic that, slip through the crack, and be trade limited, banned, whatever it may be. And I'm very apologetic in those cases. I'm sorry they happen. And even more so that I can't share exactly what the action was. But the reality of it is that we can't share what we're looking for. These people creating bots,
Yeah.
they're listening, they're ready to act, they're ready to pivot and change. And so we just can't share those that information. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
So do note that we have people who are making bot farms that come in and say the same exact stuff.
yeah,
So we do
exactly.
catch real users every now and then. And we have people who make bot farms who are like, I demand to know exactly how I got caught, basically.
Yeah,
And yeah, we were sympathetic to that first, and then we realized through them sending messages in group chats that we get access to every now and then that
yeah,
we should probably not tell them this anymore.
yeah, yeah. And it can be really hard on our support team as well to face negative comments and that. So I just wanted to slip this in here that thank you all for being incredible for the most part, because yeah, it can be hard. And once again, I'm sorry if this has happened to you, but we will do everything we can to rectify the situation.
Yeah, and on that note too, like we can talk about bots a bit. So bots are a big issue, and we're not going to deny it. We're not going to be acting like it's not. It's looking like our user base is anywhere from like 30 to 40% bots. And when we're talking about user base, we're talking about new accounts getting created mostly. Active player base that makes it past like the like 5 to 7 day mark is pretty real. Like we don't catch many bots after that time because we normally get them in like 5 to 7 days. Typically, I can't say how we know this, but yeah, essentially, like after the 5 day mark, our user base is primarily like real people, which is great. But yeah, if you're looking at some of our numbers, it is a bit inflated in that 30 to 40% range because of new accounts getting created before we actually catch them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's hop over to some other questions. So we've gotten a few questions here about our terms of service and multiple accounts. And then another question I think was just asked about like, isn't that muddying up the bot detection system and whatnot?
Yeah, I can speak on this a bit. So multi-accounting is something it's a bit tricky, right? It's something that's actually really common in most of MMOs to have multiple accounts, multiple builds, all that too. In our game mechanics, it's like a bit interesting, right? Because we have an energy mechanic, but the idea is we want output in later stages of your game to be higher anyways. So essentially what we need to be doing is creating incentives to not multi-account rather than straight up banning multi-accounting. Like when we're thinking about botting, when we're thinking about all of this kind of stuff, we're thinking more about incentive design to make sure that this is less viable and like less attractive. Right now, multi-accounting, it actually is a small percentage of our users that are taking advantage of it. It's like the power users, which I mean, those are probably the people that are most active in Discord as well. But in terms of like total user base, it's not crazy high. If we're thinking about like issues in space, like botting is a much bigger priority. These users that are creating, it's like not even that many people that are doing it, but like one user spins up 1,000 accounts, that kind of stuff. That's where the issue actually really lies. So then when we're thinking about multi-accounting, one, it's actually very standard in the space. Two, it's not the largest issue in terms of macro. Three, it's like actually a fun thing to do in a lot of cases. Four, we're thinking about incentive design to actually make it less attractive unless you're like a real power user and you just want to grind and put in time essentially, which some people like doing that. So power to you if you have fun doing that. If it's not fun, don't do that. But when we're thinking about things like the VIP membership, this is going to go into play in this where, I'll just say it. We're going to be airdropping VIP to a large amount of you guys who have been playing the game. So expect that. Like most of you are going to get VIP for free to an account for a while. So if you have a multi-account, that multi-account probably won't have gotten it. Two, if you want to get VIP with that account to actually access a lot of these features, it's going to be an economic barrier. So if you have like 1 or 2 accounts, maybe it's worth it to you. But if you have 10 accounts, that is probably not worth it to you, right? So, we're essentially, if you guys haven't dug into VIP a bit, we're going to be announcing that and like giving the full rundown when we release the Barry withdraw and deposit. We have VIP basically sitting in engine. We just haven't wanted to release it until the Barry withdraw and deposit is ready because that's when it's going to make the most sense in game. But again, high level, you're going to be able to play the game without VIP completely normally. VIP is going to give you some perks in terms of things like bookmarks, in terms of I think inventory space as well. And then what VIP also is going to do is it's going to enable you to interact with the Web3 components of the game. So you're going to be able to withdraw and deposit the token into your account, and also give away tokens as well. So some of you guys have hit it. We have a trade limit in game right now. I think it's very, very high. Like a normal user actually should never hit it. But then you're seeing some users who engage in exchanging Berry a lot. They are hitting it right now. That trade limit's going to be lowered quite soon when we release VIP for users without the VIP, essentially. So, most of you who are active in the game are going to get airdropped it, not just landowners. Landowners are going to get all the perks of VIP as well too. So again, if you're here and in the game a lot, then just remember you're going to get VIP airdropped to you. Don't get mad at us. But then, future users are going to need it to actually, give away their berry or to move it to a hot wallet. So keep that in mind. That's going to make multi-accounting a bit less attractive. So again, we're attacking it from an incentive design perspective rather than a rule perspective. We put a rule saying no multi-accounting. One, we would probably end up banning a lot of people that I personally don't think should be banned because they're not an issue. Two, we don't have to worry about rules being enforced as much if we create the right economic incentives, like God's hand, the free market, or any market forces essentially kind of determine this. So yeah, that's what we're thinking about more so. How can we create a new model inside of Pixels? How can we create better incentives to make sure that this doesn't happen rather than just saying a rule?
All right, let's pull up another question. What do you think of the frenzy that the error on Astrocactus's energy usage kickstarted? Shall we address the Astrocactus?
Yeah. So, I mean, what's great about our team is we are able to move really rapidly. Sometimes things get overlooked or missed. And this was actually a pretty interesting experiment to look at now. So what's cool about the Astrocactus was we got to see what happens when we introduce a mechanic that, interacts with like our top percent of our user base and also, introduces more berry into the ecosystem. So a lot of our power users were really farming Astrocactus hard. What's good though is that Astrocactus was only available to, I think, farmers over level 21. It was quite a high farming level requirement, which, people who are here very often, they see that and they're like, I know everybody that has farming level over 21, but that was hard to get that actually. Like you guys are top like 2% for users.
I'm like level 16 or something. So I was like, oh, well, it's not for me.
Yeah. You guys are like the top 2% of our users, which is great. So that was really only available to you guys. So it is nice to see, an excess of berry getting into those hands because, you guys are the people that we want to have berry more so than anybody else. Users who actually play the game, interact with it as much as possible. And it was actually interesting to see how much berry that generated. You guys can look at the on-chain data actually and see how much our deployer gave out from their previous balance. Was enough to have some kind of impact on the total supply of berry, but actually also not that crazy. So interesting experiment to see a lot of data from. And yeah, playtime was definitely up from those like top 2% of users, but on the whole, not everybody can interact with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and one big point too. So you guys might have noticed this time we announced 48 hours before we actually made the change that we were going to change it. So one really big initiative here at Pixels is, we want to start to act more, like the Federal Reserve would or some kind of economic agency would, where we want to introduce more predictability into our game economics. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to release surprise balance changes anymore. What we want to do is we want to start to telegraph them to you guys very transparently. So that 48-hour warning of changing the balance of Astrocactus is probably going to be like a much more strict policy moving forward. That way you guys can at least plan. That way you guys can make decisions around what we're going to be doing. And the ideal situation is like we actually want to start to be telegraphing a lot of these changes, like even like a week before, or things like that as well. Like obviously every now and then we're gonna have to make a change a bit more rapidly, but we want to make it more predictable essentially, and build more trust in the decision making process that we're doing. And to do that, it's just essentially announcing what we're going to be doing before we do it and giving you guys time to prepare.
Yeah, which is beneficial in every way, really, from our point of view. Obviously, it created a bit of a frenzy, but at the end of the day, that's up to the individuals. If they want to go hard, go for it. People are like, my hand hurts. I'm like, go touch grass. Like, come on. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Some other questions we have. Oh, okay. Are we planning on ever making like a wiki for the game? So we do have the help center, which has a bunch of articles with different content on them. But we used to have a wiki, but it wasn't great, if I'm being honest. And so we kind of left it up to users and the community to create. So actually, there are a few websites. There's if you go to our official links, I've even linked a few of them. There's some great YouTube channels. There's some really great Twitter accounts, and even in our Discord, if you check the pins, and mostly just the general chat, but a few of the other ones, we have some user-generated content and what are those things called? Infographics. So there's tons of content that's been created from the community. And honestly, we just think it's so much better that way. So I don't see us making a more in-depth wiki beyond, creating new articles and updating the help center as much as we see fit. But if you want that really in-depth, nitty-gritty little details about the XP down to a point of a percentage, head to the community-created content because you will find everything you need there.
Yeah, I want to shout out pixelsdata.xyz. That's great. One thing that we want to do when we release the pixel token as well is, so when we release the white paper pixel, you're going to see that like you guys might have seen a leak before. There was like a section that was available for, I think we called it like playing rewards or something like that, but we've actually changed that section to be ecosystem rewards. So we really like the idea of basically giving grants in pixel to people who help maintain things like that. That's gonna be some facilitation, but that's kind of the idea behind that as well too. Like we're gonna have some pixel that we throw around to things like this because this makes the whole community better. It's definitely worth it.
Oh my gosh, someone in Discord right now, they're having a touch grass quest and party. Someone was like, done, touch grass, next challenge. That was easy. Like
we have an integration that might help with that coming soon. I'm super excited for that one. I think that handoff is almost ready for us. So that'll be cool when we get that in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We get this question occasionally. So benefits for landowners.
Yeah. So one thing that we're thinking about a lot, and that's part of what we're rethinking about when we think about the white paper. So we've had a white paper that was out, right? What's great is we get to look at all the stuff coming into the game right now, and we get to change it. So the white paper is getting rewritten, and a lot of this is the kind of stuff that we're thinking about, where it's like, okay, we're thinking about value accrual. Like, why is land worth it? So one, when we're thinking about land, there's several ways that we can kind of, think about value accrual. One is through berry. And the subsidy is great because it's kind of this thing where, you get to reward land that is actually getting used, and it kind of correlates directly with land use as well, right? The other thing that we can start to think about too is the pixel rewards associated with land. So we could have something like a subsidy system, or what I've actually been thinking about a lot lately is quests that are just allowed for landowners that are quite easy to do, that essentially give you guys a way to earn pixel. So we can essentially set aside like a portion of the pixel token that's getting allocated for landowners, but still have some kind of in-game activation where it's like you still have to do a quest. But it's really just like this pool that's only available for landowners versus rewards that are available for players, things like that as well. So we're thinking about this a lot as well. Right now, I agree with you guys. The subsidy is probably not enough. And that's why we're also thinking about other perks that we can be giving to landowners, like again, the VIP stuff, all of that for landowners as well. So huge priority for us. We think we actually need to be focusing on this if we want to instill confidence in anything else that we want to release as well. So expect more. We know it's not enough right now.
Okay. Let's see here. Trade limits. Okay, so this is a good question. So about berry trade limits, I tried interacting with someone who has a limit. How will that work? So I'm just going to talk about how it works right now, and then Luke can talk about the future. So as it stands right now, someone's been trade limited. The only way to get that limit lifted is actually to contact a team member. So I've actually kind of reformatted the ban appeal form to include trade limits. So there's an appeal form. They have to fill out that form, and then they also have to open a chat on the help center just so that we can interact with them. I know this is a bit of a process, but it's what works right now, and it's how it works right now. So they have to reach out to a team member. Luke?
There's actually 2 trade limits in the game right now. There's that one, and then there is a limit on the volume too. So same thing, but the volume limit does reset monthly, which would be today, actually. So it resets on the first of the month.
Reminds me like pinch punch first day of the month. Did you guys do that? Anyways, different cultures, Luke and I. Okay. This is a good idea. Any plans to have private texting / messaging between friends in the game?
I'll be honest, for right now, no. But in the long-term future, yes. So when we're thinking about next stages, especially when we're thinking about like additional funding, like there's a few places we'll probably put funding into. Like one will be mobile, one will be polished on certain areas like this. Like, okay, can we actually increase retention through this kind of stuff? So when we're thinking about product improvements, retention really is the name of the game. We're thinking about, okay, does this feature help keep people engaged for longer, and especially new users too? Day 1 retention is probably the biggest single metric of success, and then day 7, day 14, day 28. But that's kind of how we frame a lot of our product decisions. Like, is this really going to move the needle in getting users who play for the first day to come back the second day? Private messaging, in my opinion, like that's a nice feature. I think that's like a 2 to 3% increase kind of feature rather than a 2 to 3x feature. So again, like right now, the team is really focused on retention, on getting new users into the game, but it's through features that might have a higher impact. And unfortunately, right now, our audience is like primarily Web3. I don't want to say native, but like Web3 casual, people who do have experience with messaging platforms like Discord, people who have experience like being in Telegram groups and things like that. So we know that we can kind of use those as a crutch right now, where yes, we're going for a more casual audience beyond this Web3 audience that we currently have. Then, that kind of stuff is actually super important for retention, especially the social layer. But right now, we think that we can get higher wins in the social area through other features, essentially. So yeah, we're staying pretty focused on that.
Okay, cool. This is a good one. Okay. The wine quests seem to be designed to take a long time. Any rush? No rush. There's no deadlines. And this was done on purpose. We release a quest, and then our top crazy super farmer players complete it in like 30 minutes. That's not, it's fun, but that also requires us to be creating content and generating content like every single day, which is, not sustainable. And we want you guys to have content to continue playing and having fun with. So yeah, we were like, let's put out a ton of different quests. They take time, they take skills, they take, a lot of work to complete. So yeah, that was done on purpose, of course. And we hope you're enjoying it.
I didn't get that.
Oh my God. Sorry, my watch, apparently. Okay. Luke, do you want to choose a question?
Yeah, I think this is a good one. So yeah, one thing when we're thinking about in-game content, and again, I do want to stress, we've been putting a lot of investment into areas adjacent to in-game content too. So us making new content right now, it's great. But also we've been focusing on a lot of other stuff that we're about to be releasing, which I think you guys are going to really enjoy. But two, like one of the things that we are thinking about when we're thinking about in-game content right now are around progression. So yeah, I think to balance the econ, we totally agree with you guys. And that's kind of the point. This is one of the incentives that we can create that minimizes multi-accounting, also minimizes botting too. If we can catch bots before they get to higher levels of output, that rewards players who are playing more versus bots. So we're really focused on this kind of stuff as well. That'll probably be the next stage of content development, which one, it gives you our most loyal users who are the most retentive, and then obviously the ones who like pixels the most, more things to do, kind of rewards you better as well. And it actually sets up the econ and the game balance in a way that's actually, much more sustainable in my opinion too. So we do love the idea of, having crops basically have more output, the higher level you are. So expect stuff like that.
Okay. Any update on the light paper? Obviously, we can't share too much on that yet. But Luke, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we've been changing it a lot, right? So it's kind of a living document until we are getting closer to the launch of Pixel. So we keep releasing stuff, we keep getting new feedback, and we keep seeing, oh, this thing that we were planning for Pixel actually might not work in the same way that we want. So what we might do is it might just be best to release it as a living document, like knowing it's probably going to get updated on a weekly basis. But again, these AMAs are kind of like a verbal white paper, essentially. Like it's really not going to deviate much from what we're saying here in these AMAs. And I think I'm going to actually ask you a question. Like, what are the things that you want to know in that white paper that we haven't been talking about? Like, is it token splits? Is that the big thing? Is it like allocation around that, or is it mechanics? Because I think we've been kind of clear on how we're thinking about pixel burn mechanics and pixel generation as well too. Like pixel burn, we want to focus on through two different mechanisms. One is through a new mechanic that we're introducing, pets, and the second being through platform and tooling. So almost like SaaS, but actually using Web3 models. And then generation, we're thinking about it really similar to how our play the airdrop was, but on a weekly cadence. So essentially like weekly quests that you can do, like a weekly leaderboard or something like that as well, with a set pool of the token. And again, we've been pretty clear on how Pixel differs from Berry. People see Berry and they're like, isn't Pixel going to be super inflationary? No, Pixel is a cap supply to token. Again, it's going to be generated in a very different way than Berry is. Berry is from the beginning, it was always meant to be inflationary, even though we've actually done a decent job of balancing it on a micro level where it's not actually, you're seeing it somewhat stable. Pixel operates in a very different way. It doesn't increase one-to-one with new players coming in. It increases supply. It's kind of agnostic from new players coming in. There'll be like a slow ramp up as we get more users in, but then it's going to cap at a certain point when new users come in. So essentially, like if there's 1 million users or 100,000 users every single day, like the same amount of pixel will be output essentially. But we want to slowly ramp it up because we want to kind of match it with the burn. So the first thing we're looking at is how much is the pixel token getting burned. We match it close one-to-one. Then once we hit the certain level of burn that we want to be hitting, the idea is get burn higher than generation even.
Yeah, and like you said this at the beginning, if you are really, if you're around a lot, you're in Discord, maybe Twitter, you watch our AMAs, I don't think there's going to be many surprising things on the light paper.
No, literally nothing. It's basically everything that we say here.
Yeah.
In there.
Building in public. Okay. And let's see.
Yeah, and also I do want to kind of note too, like a big focus in the white paper is literally just outlining how we build, because I think that actually is a really core piece to what we're doing. Like we are going to release a white paper, right? But then we might actually see things change and we might deviate from it a bit. And I think that's our big advantage versus like a AAA Web3 game, where if we see something isn't quite working in the way that we want it to work, we're going to adjust. So like our white paper is more like a thesis here too, where it's like, taking an iterative community first approach to building is how we want to be building out the Pixel universe and the ecosystem. We want to be taking feedback from all of you guys. And like part of what we're doing here is, we're taking that kind of attack strategy where, we actually are kind of acknowledging, hey, everything in this white paper that we put in the white paper actually might not be right. And that's okay, because if we see it's not right, we're going to change things. We're much more like a startup than we are a gaming studio, where we take this iterative approach. And like, this is why we've released so quickly. Again, we went from raising funding to having, the team was just me. and one artist in January. The team was me and one artist in January, or like 2 people, 3 people, and we built a team and we built like an entire game in like 6 months because of this approach. So yeah, we have a larger team now. We move really quick. And if we change up the approach, things are going to be moving slower. We're not going to get the feedback and adjustment we needed to. And to me, that seems like a much more dangerous approach when we're thinking about the long term of the ecosystem, the health of a token, and like actually having success in the space.
Yeah. I love reminiscing to a year ago. Like it's crazy. ETH Denver is happening right now, which major FOMO for not being there. But yeah, Luke and I were there last year. First time I got COVID. I got stuck in Denver, but it was so much fun, and it's a completely different environment now than the Web3 space was at ETH Denver a year ago. There were like major bands and musicians playing for like 100 people, and like half of them had backpacks on. So
I went to an event hosted by Bacon DAO that hosted Tiesto, Bacon Coin, maybe, I think. I don't know. It's funny. The space is so different, right? Like coins like that probably can't host Tiesto anymore.
Organization named Bacon. Like I love it. But it's very different. And what excites me the most is obviously it's always fun to reminisce, but looking at what we've done in a year, what are we gonna do this year? Like Luke was saying, back in January, there was only like 2-3 of us, and now we have a way bigger team. Like, what's it going to look like in a year from now? So it's so exciting.
I'm super optimistic about the future, honestly.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
me too. Wonderful.
We've grown into one of the biggest Web3 projects in the space, which is awesome to see that. And yeah, no, there's a lot that we can do still. It's funny because like the amount of users we have, like people are finding that kind of impressive in Web3. I actually think it's really low, and I think we could really, really grow this still. Like there's number one, there is so much room to grow in Web3 still from what we have right now. Like I think the amount of users that we have, it's great, right? But we haven't even done. There's so much that we can do still. We haven't done any of our growth strategies yet. We've essentially just made a game and like let it live, and you guys kind of share it. But we haven't done intentional growth since September, October. There's a lot that we can pull out of that once we start having that kind of stuff ready. A lot of product driven growth. And then 2, like we haven't even done any like traditional CAC advertising, any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot that we can pull essentially. Like the amount of DAU that we have right now, I think it's like anywhere from like 10 to 25,000 typically. Like I honestly will not even think we're doing like slightly okay until we're over 100K DAU, until we're over like 300K DAU. And that I think we can do relatively quickly once we have these pieces in place.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I think we've wrapped up. People keep asking for leaks. This AMA, we've said a lot of stuff. So you know what? Just listen back or wait for Dom, one of our team member. He is graciously writing notes. So just wait for his notes to come out and go ahead to chat. Oh God, it's working.
Well, no, I already shared this in Discord, but did everybody see that one pet? I just thought it was the cutest thing.
It's so cute.
Can we share that really quick?
Yeah.
It's gonna be really low res. It's like a screenshot of pixel art.
You do it or me too?
I'll get it. 1 second.
Okay. Oh man.
We have it's really easy because we have a channel. I think I mentioned this a few times.
Guys.
Yeah, Leaky Luke in our Discord. So I can just go into that channel and pull it. But yeah, the pets are moving along really well. We're super excited about them. It's funny because we talked about everything else, but like this is what I'm saying. We've been working on so much, where this is just like a really tiny part of what we're doing, and it's actually coming out really, really well. These pets, they're so cute.
So cute. All right. Well, I think we can end it there. Thank you all. If you have any last questions that we didn't get to, tag one of us in one of the general chats on our Discord, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.